Hello and welcome to another edition of RSF Radio. I am your host, Joe Monday, and this is the podcast where we typically talk about what's been going on the front page of our Street Fighter. However, I have a very special guest with me tonight. You might know him as some random Akuma from New York, but it's Teiga. What's happening, man? Former sponsored player of our Street Fighter. What's happening?
Not much. Studying, playing video games, trying to get better, grinding.
Studying, playing games, showing me all. Man, following you on Twitter is an IT nightmare. Holy shit, it's infuriating. Like, some of the shit I see coming across your Twitter is like, oh no, it's not even plugged in. How could you not? Well,
it's kind of crazy. I just got used to it after a while.
There's just a level of bullshit that I think you just have to accept as an IT person. Just that this is the level of incompetence that you're going to experience. But anyway, welcome to the show. And what I like to do when I have guests on is I like to promote what they have going on. So what do you have going on right now?
Right now it's literally just me trying to stream and just put on like Akuma shenanigans on Twitter for the most part, and then try to grind next level battle circuit as much as possible.
How's NLBC doing?
Pretty good. This is like my first, so I've been trying to go every week consistently now. This is like the first week I missed in like 4, I think. So. Yeah, last time I think I got 7th, and then the time before that first. So. Oh
yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
it's a strong scene out there. So like pulling first is no small task. Definitely a good community out there. But that's cool. So you run your own stream and you share like Akuma. Do you share clips? Are you one of the clip sharing people, or do you just like run a YouTube channel for that?
It's mostly clips. I've had people like DM me privately asking for lessons or just like ask for tips in general. I'm a pretty like sociable guy, so if they ask, I will have no problem ever telling. So
no, that's a good mentality. It's a good mentality to have because like helping other players. I have always found that helping other players become stronger is a quick path in making yourself stronger. Even if you're teaching them basic, I don't know if you've experienced this, but even teaching people even basic stuff helps you reorganize how you think about that thing in your own head and can sometimes lead to like simplifying revelations of how you actually play the game. Have you like found that to be true?
In a sense, yes. I feel like in terms of like Street Fighter, most of people who come to me ask me for tips on like how to use the fireball because they either try to use fireball like it was the Street Fighter 4, which does not work at all unless you're Gal. So I typically, when I was streaming consistently, I had a command that essentially is just like, here's how you want to throw a fireball. And I'm like, yeah, try to implement this type of mindset and using your fireball as a long poke instead of like a zoning tool. And that's usually rather well received. So,
and I think that works with Akuma in particular. I really like his fireballs. I think are pretty good, pretty decent in terms of projectiles in this game. I think his are fairly good, specifically when used as a poke from that range that's slightly outside of your normal range.
Yeah,
or like. And then it gets a little bit tricky when you want to talk about like his air fireballs, but that's kind of its own separate monster.
Yeah, entirely whole different demon.
Yeah, and things that you can bait with it and using it as an avoidance tool and other things of that nature. I like it. Akuma is such a fun character. It seems like he's really so much fun to play.
So when I first started playing the game, I was a Ryu main.
Well, he was buff in season 1, so I mean,
yeah,
sure.
he yeah. So all right, so I guess this is like a weird precursor story. So my name is Teiga, and I got that from Street Fighter 4 because the character I played, Gen, one of his ultras was named Teiga. So I was like, all right, I like it. I like how it looked aesthetically, and I really liked Gen at the time. So I'm like, all right, I'll stick with the name. So during like the end lifetime of Street Fighter 4, I'm not gonna throw out any player's name, but there was one in particular who kept annoying me about how cheap Gen was in Ultra, and I don't know why, but I became really vindictive against that thought. So I was like, all right, I'm tired of you annoying me about how good the character is when he's not. So I'm going to use the most linear character in Street Fighter V just to show you that it's not the character, it's the player. So I ended up picking up Ryu. And then I did really good. I don't want to say I did well. I was doing all right with him. But the character wasn't fun for me.
Mm.
And then Akuma dropped, and I was like, oh my God, is this what fun is like? Is this what it's like to play stress-free? I was like, okay, I don't care how good or bad the character is, but he makes me want to play the game more.
Yeah.
In a sense.
It just given the more options that he has, the more freedom of movement that he has, I can see how switching from Ryu to Akuma would be opening in that way. Just going, yeah. But that is funny, though, that you went from the bullshit character of Gen, who is not really bullshit. Gen has to work really hard to actually play well.
Yeah.
And then especially in certain matchups. There's certain matchups where he really can't do any of the bullshit. And relying on his normals and his pokes is just, you have to play on point with him. I just love his crouching, both of his crouching hard punches. Man, thinking back to Gen and some of his pokes just makes me happy sometimes.
Yep, but now they give us Zeku, and I'm still as happy as ever.
So, I mean, with that question, do you play Zeku at all?
Yes. So I don't know why, but I have this really weird habit of like, okay, I'm going to learn a character, so I'm going to make an entirely new CFN for this character. So now I have 5, and I only play on 2.
Oh boy,
3.
You're the reason why people complain about Smurfing. Smurf accounts. I only bring it up. I see that pretty often.
Yes, I see it too.
It's just like, man, well, I get it, but also that's kind of been a thing. It's not in my gut, I want to say it's not technically smurfing, because I think about historically how people have treated the ranking system and ranking up characters, and I just think back to Smug and how he had 1 through 10 on the charts. It's like, well, he had to start over a number of times to get that way.
And personally, I don't feel like I'm smurfing, because even though I have an entirely different account, I don't use any the name of the Smurf. Well, the name of the account gives the character away. So my first account, my Ryu account, was Denjin Teiga, because Ryu's critical art was Denjin Fireball.
Clearly.
My Zeku account is Strider Teiga, because Zeku looks a lot like Strider.
Zeku has the Strider uniform, correct.
Akuma is Sekia, because that was that's the first word in his pillar super. So I'm like, all right. And I don't, unless it's battle lounges or someone requested, ranked wise, I only play that character exclusively. So it's not he's trying to rank up as quickly as possible. No, I'm going through the same process as any other person where they're learning a new character. It's just that I just happen to stick to that one character on that one account.
Right. And I don't know. I see that end of it, and I just think that's fine, but I can understand from a new player who is just starting out in the game to just having the experience that an experienced player would have with a new character. More about how fighting games work in order to kind of dunk them. And I can understand how that's not a fun experience. And maybe that happens once or twice, but it's never I don't know. In my opinion, in my experience, the times where that is what's the word I'm looking for? The person who's doing the dunking is aggressive about it, or it's not ill-intended, and I feel like that matters, but also that might just be bullshit and me wanting to feel like it's okay. Maybe I'm just justifying it. I don't know. Well, regardless of that, it's cool. I didn't know you played Zeku though. How do you liking Zeku?
I like Zeku a lot. Like it. Like regardless of how
who is the best Zeku?
Honestly, to me, I think it's between Nox and Angry Bird.
You're supposed to say yourself.
I mean, I know, but I'm too humble for that, and I can't even say I'm the best Akuba right now. Like,
fair.
So I do like Zeku. Like, I'm trying to hit master rank with him, and I'm like getting very close, but then I run into a bad matchup, and I just sit here and cry in a corner like, I want to go back to Akuba. I want to play Akuba, but damn, I got to win this matchup.
Yeah, I always think it's a hardship when learning a new character, when your brain thinks, oh, my other character can just do this. And there's a part of that is like a mental block of, oh, I just wish I could do this. And then like having to think of the hard work it's going to take to deal with whatever your current character is dealing with. Anyway, so kind of spinning that off into a topic that you wanted to bring up, that you're having fun with Zeku, but how important do you think is it to just having fun with fighting games, and how that ties to like mental strength when competing in a tournament setting?
It's so for me personally, I feel like if I'm not having fun competitively, I should not be playing. Which is weird because everyone's like, "Oh, you should be in it for the money." I'm like, "No, video games was a source of entertainment for me." How to put it? I came into playing competitively because I was like, okay, I can make profit off of doing something I love. It's not I'm trying to how to put it? Like as long as Street Fighter is fun for me, I will continue to play it. I will continue to play it competitively. But the moment I feel like it's no longer fun, I feel like at that point I'm in a toxic relationship and I should leave.
Right.
Like every game I play competitively, I like playing. I play Street Fighter 5, I play King of Fighters, I play Under Night. These are games that I love to play. Like I'll just sit down and play it regardless if anyone's playing it with me because I just like to play it.
Because there's not a lot of money in KOF, but there's like no money in Unist. Regardless of how fun those games are. Granted, fun games, super fun fighting games. I think that I've said this a number of times on this podcast and during tournaments, but we live in a time where there are so many good fighting games to enjoy.
Yeah, and it bothers me when I see players complaining about the game so actively and still playing it. I'm like, dude, it's not that serious. Just play a different fighting game. Yeah. I'm not trying to throw anyone on the bus again, but the same player, I seen him bash Street Fighter 5 till the end of the time, then say he was going to Tekken, and then I have never seen him enter a Tekken tournament and come right back to Street Fighter. And then he won his local. I'm like, and he's like, what changed? He's like, oh, I'm playing the game more. I like it more. I'm like, you see, you bitch less, you get better results.
Because it does serve as a mental block whenever you think negatively on the thing that you're trying to improve upon. Like it's not helpful to maintain that mentality. It's not a way to grow. It can be stifling.
Definitely a hindrance.
Well, I guess with that in mind, like, how does that affect you, or how have you seen that affect other players, like in the tournament, in the heat of the moment? Like, because I feel like maybe we've all experienced this. Perhaps you know what I'm talking about. Perhaps you're too cool for this. Perhaps you've got a cool head and this doesn't bother you. Perhaps you play a Kuma who has options, but get knocked down by a Cammy in the corner, and you might
scariest thing ever.
You might get a stand light kick. You might get thrown. In that, there's a part of that that's frustrating, and there's a part of that that makes you want to think, at least I can understand the mentality here of, well, I'm limited by this game in my response to what my opponent is doing, and therefore I get frustrated. But how do you stay cool in that situation? What's the secret?
So there are three mentalities that I've learned that like helped. So all right, so here's the funny thing about IT. Like anyone who's seen me on Twitter has seen me bitch about IT. I will never stop because people are stupid, right? But there are three things that like in like that work in conjunction that like make me never complain about Street Fighter. First one is nothing is worse. Street Fighter can never be as worse as Street Fighter can never be as bad as IT. That's like people like I've gotten this question multiple times. Yo, why don't you bitch about Street Fighter? Have you seen my job?
Yeah, that's a very funny, like, good fatalistic way to look at it. I kind of like that. I should start thinking that way about my own job in general. That's like surprisingly a positive turn on something that is like super shitty, man.
Like I'm like, oh, Candy's bad, but it's not as bad as traveling an hour and a half to turn on a monitor back. So I'm like, eh. So that's the first thing. And the second thing that helped was, I think back when I first started in the FGC, I'm technically an 09er, I guess. Do you know? I'm pretty sure like he's known for the wrong reasons, but Noel Brown gave me like he said it to someone else, but hearing it like and seeing it gave me a different perspective towards it. And essentially, it was just another Marvel player, Scamby, who typically was playing low tier at the time. He played this was like UMBC3. Scamby played Wesker Chris Nemesis, and Noel played Wolverine Doom Phoenix, I think. And Scamby was bitching about Phoenix because like, oh, Phoenix is cheap. I'm out here playing a low tier team, and you could just do whatever the fuck you want. And Noel said something that forever stuck with me. And he said, when we play this game, you have the very same choice of characters that I do, right? So don't you start to bitch because I'm playing this character and you decided not to, and now I'm winning and you're losing. And I'm like, wait, hold up. He's right. I have the same choice as the character select screen that he does. If it really bothers me that he's winning, that means I just gotta work with my characters more to make sure that he loses. And I'm like, wow, okay. That's an eye-opener.
That's a totally different way of thinking about it and takes away that power of bitching. Because I am in full agreement with that statement. It's specifically used in that situation. If you're playing Nemesis in that game against the Dark Phoenix, you are kind of fucked from the beginning, and you need to put in some. You have to know that, and if you don't know that in your heart that that's just a terrible matchup, terrible character matchup, then you should know that there's a lot of work that you have to put in there in order to win.
Exactly. And I think the third mentality that like solidified everything for me is to have fun with the game. Like, I think it was Battle Circuit 137 was the one I won. Mm-hmm. And like the entire time I'm playing, I have like this huge grin on my face when I'm playing Kami. And I'm just here laughing the entire set. He reset bracket. I'm still there smiling, like having the time of my life. I'm like, yo, this is what I want to play for. Like,
you have to have fun with it. You have to be able to like laugh at yourself almost. Like the times when you get hit or you mess up, you just go, okay.
Yeah, like with that mentality, it did two things for me, right? One, it doesn't make me so much tethered in the past. Like so I'll give you an example. And this time I will name drop because I love this player to death. He is my bro. Okay. But the way this match went left a bad taste in my mouth. So I was playing Zaffarino at some tournament at Battle Circuit actually.
Okay.
And he died because he didn't DP. Right? And the moment that happened, Zaf's face went from this is kind of fun to this is dreadful now. And I was like, because after that, it felt like everything just went into my favor. Like I could have did anything and it would have worked because you could have just felt the mood change in Zaf. And he was just there. Like even I managed to win the set, but I didn't feel happy with it because he didn't look like he just looked like he was dreading it the entire time. Like no, every time you play, from the time the game says fight, whatever happens in round one, cool. Now we're in round two. Round two is not round one. Whatever happened in round one, leave it behind. You are playing a new beginning. Keep that mentality. So if we're playing a first to 10, if the score is 9-9, you should be playing me at match point the same way you were playing me at round one, and keep that mentality. Because otherwise, you start to blunder, you start to mess up, you start to do things that are uncharacteristic. Like it shows, it's noticeable. It's not like a good mentality to have.
That's funny to hear that about Zaffarino. He's a good dude, and I only know him through Twitter interactions and stuff that he's done, like through his channels, which he's doing a great job at that as well. I recommend everybody follow him. But that's cool to see that or hear that different perspective on what happened there. It's like a real life example of someone who like is capable of keeping their cool and then just fucking dropping it.
Yeah, so like if you're new to fighters, try to keep an open mind. Like try to keep an open mind. Shit happens. Shit will happen. Just be prepared for the shit. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, just have fun. If you're having fun, you will never know.
Yeah.
Like it's weird. I prioritizing having fun over winning.
I am 1,000% behind you on that. And here's my example of that. It wasn't this past weekend. It was 2 weekends ago. God, how time flies. But Canada Cup. I get matched up against Itabashi Zangief, who plays Abigail. I main Zangief. Terrible matchup. And they were like, okay, you go on stream. You're on stream next. And I'm like, well, this is going to go bad for me because I know personally that I am not on the level of a competitive caliber because of all like the other shit that I do, like this and sponsoring players and doing like running tournament. All that stuff has prevented me from really like putting in the hours to actually become like a strong competitive player. And so when they say, hey, you two up, and we were just talking before the set, and he's like, who do you play? And I'm like, I play Zangief. And all his response was to say, I'm sorry. And he bowed very deeply. and he smiled because he knew. He's like, oh no, this is so bad for you. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. And before that set happened, I know in my mind that the correct V-trigger to choose is V-trigger 1 for Zangief. I know that. It is without a doubt the correct V-trigger that Zangief should use. But I knew because I probably wasn't going to win. The chances of me winning that set were low. But the chances of me doing something fun with V-trigger 2 are not zero.
Exactly.
And I did well in that set. It was a thrashing, but I still performed well and like I didn't crack at any point or really like feel like I had broken. It just the set played out the way that the set typically plays out, which is Abigail just does a crouch jab and then it goes bad. But the point is like having that smile on my face, I was still happy. Like I was never down about it. I still felt competitive even throughout that entire set. It's just that mentality of, I'm just trying to have fun with it. And having that thought even through the entire tournament is just, that's how you maintain like a consistent play. Like granted, there's a lot of other things that go into it, but that is definitely a very strong element as to like what can make a strong player. So anyway, all that to say that I'm in full agreement with your stance on that. Anything else on that topic before maybe moving on? Maybe avoiding salt or having some competitive mentality?
My competitive mentality is I don't have one. My goal is to it's well, I have one, but it's not like win. It's more like play to a standard that I find acceptable.
Right.
So I don't mind losing. I mind losing to either things I'm not aware about, or things that like I feel like I could have done better. But if I play to like my fullest capacity and I lose, I will never be mad at me in my life. Like Wolfgang, there was a tournament in New York. Like, so here's the hilarious story behind me and Wolfgang. I met Wolfgang at a Philly local back in season 2. And in season 2, I made him rage quit on stream. Right?
Nice. Okay.
I think this is back when his name was King Buffalo.
Yeah, and that's when he was playing Birdie. Blanca had not. He's mostly known for playing Blanca now, but Blanca wasn't a character. He had played Birdie before that, I believe.
Birdie and Laura, right?
Okay.
So I washed him. He rage quit on stream. He pulled the cord out, and I was just there giggling, having the time of my life, right? So back then, after Blanca dropped, so he changed his name from King Buffalo to Wolfgang, right? Mm-hmm. He bodied me the next time we met, which was at a KVB, which is at a New York local. So I bodied him at a Philly local. He bodied me in a New York local, and I wasn't mad that I lost to him. I was mad. I had no idea what the fuck I lost.
He was, because especially at the time, he was one of the only people really labbing Blanca. Even still today, there's not a ton of people putting in work.
So he labbed the fuck out of V-Trigger. I knew nothing about V-Trigger. I didn't know about the DP bullshit about like, oh, I block a DP and he could just like still hit me. I didn't know about blocking a DP and then him being negative on one side plus on the other side. I knew nothing about the character. Body. And then I ran into Medieval. I beat him at Ryu. Then I ran into him at, I think it was some Philly local. Bodied him with Akuma. I'm like, you see, this is what I like. I lose, I find answers.
You put in the work, you figured it out. When you block that up ball and he's hanging there with V-Trigger 2, you just crush counter him in the air.
Yeah, and then I was like, you know what? People are not going to laugh this. So you know what I did? The very same day, I'm like, okay, here's 4 punishes you can do if you get that, if you block it. Very simple. I'm like, here you go. I never want to hear someone bitch about punishing this with Akuma. Because from what I can see, Akuma has probably one of the most luxurious punishes that I've seen in the game that are not matched by other characters. Probably like Zeku gets pretty easy punishes, but Akuma's punishes are creative and makes me feel like I'm playing Marvel. He gets like stand roundhouses and back
I suppose that is true because you get to really choose what you want to do in a lot of situations.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily, unless you start out with a jab, you're not necessarily limited with your options.
Like, when Akuma punishes that, like, when I showed Wolfgang that, he was like, that works. I'm like, yeah, I know, right? Sweet, huh? Because it's like, it's just like, you see like your process paying off. It's not like it was all for naught. You get to see like the work that you put in, the lab time that you put in, start to pay off. I was like, yeah, this feels good. This feels great. So like,
there's a good payoff there. There's a work and then the payoff, and that's what you're working towards. There's a good feeling that goes along with that. I can relate to you. That's
like my biggest advice for people for those people who want to compete, do not go with the mentality to win. Go with the mentality to learn. You should always want to be learning. Learn. Even when you're winning, you should be learning. Like, if you feel like you learn too slow and you need to take your time, get a gallon of water. Every time you're playing a match and you lose, you just sit there, take some sips from that water, and like, what went wrong here? What could I have done better? What should I do differently? And take your time.
I'm with you on that. I actually feel that winning when you are a new player is probably a detriment to your advancement as a player competitively. Because a lot of people will just take that win and they won't think about why or how they won. And especially at a low level, if you just get someone who's being extremely aggressive, right? If you put two brand new players or new-ish players and one knows a jump-in combo and the other one doesn't know an anti-air, like the one who's going to jump in continually will win. And that happens over and over again at a lower level until they reach like super silver or something, and it's like, oh, your opponents know how to deal with bullshit. And then you see that's where you see people really struggle of like, well, I was so used to winning using all of these tactics, and I'm going to continue to use these, and they just bash their head against the wall over and over again. And there was no impetus for them to learn. But really, through your losses is the best way to learn. When you look, okay, break down, well, why didn't I anti-air that? Well, why didn't I know the punish there? And then exploring the answers to that question. And you learn a lot more that way.
I feel like the easiest, like when people say how do you rank up quickly, I feel like the easiest answer right there is frame data. If you know your frame data, I can guarantee you'll probably get diamond.
I feel like that is somewhat true in Street Fighter V.
Yeah, Street Fighter 4 didn't matter because everything just like, oh, -6. I didn't like punishing that.
Yeah, and like the pushback was a lot different in that game.
Oh boy.
Yeah. As a Geef main in 4, almost all I looked through in the frame data. All right, what's -2?
Hugs.
Just show me what's -2, and I know how to deal with that. We deal with
I will
those.
hug you. You will be hugged.
But yeah, no. And then there was like some spacing. Then you just test it out once and go, okay, well that's a little too far away. Like you can space a Jaguar kick, an air Jaguar kick, even though it's always -2. You can space it out and not be punishable. That's the trick.
And then there were things that were like supposedly safe on block, but if you were like misspacing it out, you were like suddenly -11. Yeah. Those were not good days for game players.
No, unfortunately. That was so weird when that happened. Man, that game was just funky sometimes. Just thinking about what people have complained about in 5, and then just thinking about some of the hot bullshit that happened in 4 and other any history of any fighting games, even specifically if you just stick with the Street Fighter series, there was always so much bullshit. Even like if someone had a combo in Street Fighter V where just for whatever reason, if the spacing wasn't just right, like Gouken doing a dash up hurricane kick and they get hit once and drop out of it, and then you're minus like 5 billion.
Oh,
man,
yeah,
could you imagine if that was in 5, if something like that was as calm as it was, but in 5? Man, they'd cry for a patch like there'd be an army, pitchforks at the gates of Capcom HQ.
I cried for a patch for Gen's hands to be safer on him, but that never happened. Those were very rough days. I used to get punished by like 5 different ultras for a hit. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And then it happened at Evo. I'm like, so we're still not going to do anything about this? Like, we just saw Stan got punished.
Strange. Yeah. That's just all unfortunate. Or even like Zangief. -2 light punch green hand. Just sometimes you like when Zangief can't do a normal combo against Zangief without being punished. That's a fun time. Man, that's just a weird game. There's weird things happen in that game. Fun game, but that doesn't mean that Street Fighter V can't be fun as well. Street Fighter V, you can have fun with Street Fighter V. It also has weird stuff. There's weird spacing stuff that happens in this game. That is, like, in my opinion, I love the weird spacing fun stuff. And 5 kind of has a little bit of that. Does Akuma feels like one of those characters who has a lot of weird fun stuff that like benefits him, not like hurts him, but benefits him.
Big body combos, can drag you full screen, side switching. I think the main reason I like Akuma so much is even now I've reached like Grandmaster, been playing him since season 2, and I still don't feel like I know enough about the character. Like, I think it was crossover RD at the Latin American Capcom Cup. I'm like, oh, look at that! I learned something new today. And then I play Common, like, oh, look at that! I learned something new today. It's just like, oh, you can never say that you fully know the character because, well, in regards to Kuma, because it's just more stuff being shown day by day by day. So
yeah, there's just a lot of depth to him. I'll agree to that. I feel like there are some characters. I don't know if I want to commit to saying this because I was going to say maybe there are some characters in this game who lack that type of freedom, let's say. But I don't know if that's necessarily true. I like to believe in my heart of hearts that even Ryu can be unexplored.
Ryu was definitely unexplored. I can tell you some stuff about Ryu that no one ever knew. It is hilarious.
The weird thing is I've watched a lot of Ryu play. I actually find Ryu to be kind of fun. Like he in his current version, there's some really fun stuff that he has. He's got some like wonky back hard kick stuff that he can do. The donkey kick now can do some weird fun stuff that he didn't have before, like mid-screen cross unders, like hard to blockables. You could do fun stuff. He's not all that limited.
Like I used to talk about this with Javits a lot, and I'm like, please, if Capcom wants me to play Ryu again, all they have to do is give him back season 1 back roundhouse. That is all I need.
Ooh, so season 1 back. Why is that? Explain.
All right, so it was 2 reasons. One, it's because it's 8 frames instead of 9 frames, and 2, because it was 0 on block and not -2, right? Right. So I don't know how people didn't know this, and how people like this was back when I was like crunching numbers hard, like tool assisted with this little app for calculating like knockdown advantage and everything.
Yeah, that's just so great.
So back in season 1, I found out that you can link back roundhouse into back roundhouse on counter hit. And the great thing is like, so it came in a common situation. So
I think I saw that.
So back in season 1, like one of my biggest gripes with Ryu was the fact that he didn't have good damage mid-screen, and B, it was like you always want them to be in the corner. So off of EX Tatsu, off of any normal in the corner, if you dashed and did back roundhouse and they quick rised, back roundhouse hit meaty, but you were +2. I'm like, oh, +2. Great, I can still oppress you, even though I sacrificed meter. So I traded damage off for Oki. Right. So I'm like, oh, okay, back roundhouse is +2. And then I was like, all right, let me see what else I can figure out. I ended up finding out that like Ryu has some really stupid shit in the corner. He has a +5 stand medium punch. All of a Tatsu. He has a +5 stand medium punch. He has, how to put it? I think it's a fuzzy stand roundhouse off a medium DP.
Yes.
So like
yes, I believe that is true.
Yeah. So
because what that means for people who might not know, when you say fuzzy stand roundhouse, so if someone is holding crouch on wake up, even though stand roundhouse would typically whiff on a crouching character, there's still 2 frames that you are considered. You have a standing hurt box. So if you're blocking during your wake up, you still have if you're just holding crouch, you still have a standing hurt box. You can force a crouch by waking up with a crouching normal attack, but in that instance, your roundhouse landing meaty, even though they're holding down back, they're forced to block it.
Yeah, so like in that instance, you'd be plus 17, so you don't even need to V trigger cancel. So if that situation you get forward fierce, like and it hurts.
Shit.
Let's see, there was double back roundhouse, there was you can do like and like I like the situation so much because crouching, this was back when like most of the when I found out most of this stuff, this was back when the amount of characters with a crouching 3-frame jab exceeded the amount of characters with a standing 3-frame jab. So it's like, okay, now I'm going to be a dick about you having a crouching jab. So it was just like, okay, if you get hit with this meaty back roundhouse and you're crouching, now my conversion is back roundhouse, stand medium punch, crouch fierce, tatsu, or whatever ender I wanted.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, damage. And back, this is when like where you had like bricks for feet and hands. So I was like, oh, you're gonna feel this.
Yeah, he had big boy damage in season 1. He was a fucking shithouse. I still like his stand hard punch. His just raw stand heavy punch. I think that's a good move. It's specifically good when he has his opponent in the corner. When he can dictate the space, I feel like him just shoving that fist out there is like a good, here, you deal with this. You deal with this.
Ryu was just like season 1 a lot. It's crazy because Tokido did phenomenally well with him. Yeah. There was still things like people didn't know about the character, like back in the annoying days when Karen's EXDP left her crouching. Ryu's used to cry about like, how do I punish this correctly?
All right,
because you
try and do the stand roundhouse, and it's like, well, it'll whiff because small hurt box.
And she's crouching. And I was like, oh, all you have to do is backdash and just hit stand roundhouse. Easy.
Easy to do.
Then it was like, oh, Ryu has a stun gun? I was like, what's a stun gun? I'm like, block Cammy's DP, and now she's like losing 70% of her life. Provided you have V trigger and super.
What was the stun gun? That's interesting.
Oh, so
do you remember?
So of course I remember. People used to hate me for this shit. So off of any, and this is when we had like needleless reversal. So if Cammy wakes up DP, you pop V trigger immediately, dash, stand roundhouse crush counters, stand strong, crouch fierce, DP super. Immediately stuns.
Nice.
Well, it doesn't immediately stun. I think you have to like get any type of
off of a throw, yeah. Like you throw Cammy and then she wakes up with anything and then boom, got her.
If you secured the knockdown in any way, that combo would immediately stun and you lost like all your life. Actually, I think I still have a video about it somewhere on my YouTube. Back when I was uploading stuff to YouTube.
Right on. No, I dig that. Those are always fun. Stun gun kill combos on Cammy are fantastic. Well, how do you feel about stun gun combos on Akuma? Because it's not like he's packing the stun.
Oh, if you stun gun me, I deserved it. That means you did everything right. You blocked the DP when I decided to DP. You shimmied me when I was trying to tech a throw. You deserved it.
Yeah, that is unfortunate about Akuma, is that his DP leaves him so punishable if you don't cancel it into V-trigger.
Yep.
Which is still kind of fucked up that he can cancel that into V-trigger and it's like, well, haha, you don't get your crush counter combo.
I mean, it was more fucked up beforehand.
Yeah.
Before that, I think it was before the most recent patch.
Yeah.
Akuma, so I think we're all familiar with like Abigail's crouch, like unblockable bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
So Akuma got out of that for free at least once. He always got out for free once. And I don't know how they knew about this, but they found out about it somehow. But if Abigail charges crouch fierce or stand fierce in front of your face, you could literally wake up DP and cancel on the V trigger, and his crouch fierce his normal would just fly through you. And you got a full punish. Like, yay. And then hilariously, like the day I uploaded that to Twitter, the very next day it was removed. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah,
God
like the
damn.
1 frame of invincibility or whatever, or maybe it was like the 2 frames, or I forget exactly what it was, but it was just enough. I think I remember that. Like 2 day switch where it was like, haha, look at this weird dumb shit that can happen in this video game. That's some fun stuff. I like cheeky stuff like that. That's the fun side of fighting games, which I feel like a lot of people, I don't know, it seems like a lot of people when they interact with the most recent fighting games, even not even just Street Fighter, but it feels like when people speak about them or share stuff on social media or otherwise, it's never in a fun sense. It's always in like I'm a curmudgeon sense. I'm sour about it. I'm an old grumpy man who likes his old fighting games. And it just lacks that little fun, but I love the fun stuff. I love it when someone can do some stupid combo like that or abuse that 1 frame of invincibility and be like, ha, gotcha.
Like, I'm hoping, like, I started reposting Ryu tech because I'm like hoping one of these new age Ryu players who hasn't like reclaimed their sense yet will eventually like stumble upon it and just like make me happy.
I think they're out there. I could name. I know about a half a dozen Ryus, maybe Ryu mains. Not even as a secondary. Ryu mains who would love just slight buffs on Ryu. And I think he's mid-tier with the rest of the cast.
Just give me fake Fireball and Caesar Woodham's background house, and I'll come back to Ryu immediately. Fake Fireball, easy? Okay.
I am with you on a fake Fireball. I think that I suggested that whenever they were making the transition to AE, because they said there were going to be new special moves. I was like, damn, fake Fireball, bring it. I want to see that.
Give me fake Fireball. Just give me fake Fireball, please. Oh, so I found the videos. Mm-hmm. Sorry to cut you off, but I found the stud gun video. So hilariously, on Cammy, well, you didn't need to throw. You could do it off a sweep, actually.
Yeah.
On Cammy, if you did the stun gun, it did 666 damage.
Ooh, Mark of the Beast. That's the Sinners combo. That's actually awesome. That reminds me of people doing like 420 combos. Those were the good times. All right, but okay. Is there anything else along those lines that you feel like sharing before we move on?
Please don't kill Akuma. Please don't nerf him to the ground. Because I will still use him and will make him as cheap as possible.
Never.
And you guys know it's possible since I can like react to fireballs with V skill into demon.
Yeah, that is some cool shit. Watching that, because you recently shared was it you who shared a clip on Twitter that was like, oh yeah, by the way, check this hot shit out. Boom. Where's your fireball? V skill into Raging Demon. What's good? That shit was hype.
Yeah, because I don't know why people don't do it, because it's like for me, I find it fun as hell and cute as fuck to do.
Yeah.
But this, like, that entire thing started when someone told me that crouch forward into fireball wasn't a true string. And I'm like, wait, this gives me ideas. And then like, I think it was like 3 days before it, I was playing some Ken player and he did low forward EX fireball. I'm like, yep, you're dead. V-Skill Demon.
Nice.
And then I'm like, all right. Now let's see if I can get it in neutral. And I'm like, yay, you guys all fucked up.
Well, speaking of things that you can visually confirm, how do you feel that the input lag reduction has helped you out? Do you feel that difference?
Yes. Hilariously, I think so. Same battle circuit that I like somehow won by like the grace of luck.
Yeah.
Kami went to Cammy and started doing dive kicks. And I'm like, oh, fuck.
Right.
And at the time, I hadn't like seriously played offline without the lag reduction. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, this ain't gonna be a good time. And then I was like, oh shit, I can react to everything. This must be the glorious days of
You see it.
These are I could see. It was like, oh, these are going to be good days. It's weird. I don't say like I feel a physical difference, but I do feel like my reaction time is a little bit better when it comes to seeing certain things. I'm still gonna get hit in the face with the EX boom though. That's
yeah.
I'm still gonna.
Yeah, I suppose there are. I mean, there's just moves that come out too fast that if you aren't already crouch blocking, you're just gonna get hit. Like 8-frame startup is too fast to react to. But
yeah, that EX boom still gonna hit me.
With that said, like that's really where I see the difference. Like I was gonna let you answer first because to confirm my own bias that I definitely think it helps. It wasn't a huge reduction, really. I mean, it kind of was a huge reduction if you consider that the worst it was around 7 frames of lag. It was anywhere from like 4.5 to 7, and it was like 5.5 to 7, and now it's right around. I should look at the exact number, but it's like 4.5. It's like a little over 4.5, let's say, or is it a little under 4.5?
A little over, I think.
Okay, regardless, whatever it is, I'll link the results here. Actually, no, I'll just look it up right now. I have it right here. It is 4.4, so it's a little under. 4.4 frames of input lag on the PS4, and I definitely feel that when I'm trying to walk and block. As that is something that a Zangief has to know and has to do. Walking and blocking, very important. And just that little bit of movement, I'm like, oh man, I didn't walk into that normal. My stick being back made my character block. What a novel idea. It's crazy. That part, I think, feels good. To me, when it feels good like that, no complaints. I'm good to go. I'm easy to please. I think that 4.4 is okay with where the game is now. Of course, it would be nice if it was a little bit better, but who knows? Who knows what they have planned for 2019? But for now, I'm happy. I'm glad to hear that someone else is playing at a competitive level and seeing the difference and feeling a little bit more confident in certain punishes or certain matchups in the neutral. That's good to hear.
Yep. I feel more confident in going for big body combos without dropping it now.
Okay. I have some other stuff here that I might want to... I'll just bring it up. We don't have to talk about it in depth, but I did want to bring up... Did you see this? That James Chen has been... Or at least he did it one time, and he has plans to do this in the future, but he's rebroadcasting locals from like around the world. He's given it the hashtag FGC locals of the world. And granted, he's charging locals for this. I don't know what that price is. I haven't DM'd him about it.
What?
So I get it. Because that's a lot of his own time to like watch and commentate over and spread news for. Like, I get it. And at the same time, he said that like any donations that come in during that time, he's going to forward that along to the original broadcasters or the local itself. So like he offered up an explanation as to why he was doing it, and like, I don't know, go get paid, I suppose. Like I'm not going to try, like, FGC is pretty poverty. And it has been that way for a very long time. So if someone wants to go get theirs just a little bit for doing something that furthers a scene that might not otherwise get the exposure, I think I'm okay with that. I understand the initial Your initial reaction was also my initial reaction of like, what? He's charging for this? What? But I don't know. I can see it the other way. But that might just be my opinion. You're welcome to be flabbergasted about that. But again, don't really have to cover that. I just wanted to bring it up, and I'll link that in the comments as well. But anyway, so coming to the end of the show, I have to ask you 2 questions before you leave. I won't let you go without answering them. And it's a set of 2 questions that I ask every guest on their first appearance of the show. It's a 2-parter. Part 1 of the question is, what is your favorite normal attack in any fighting game? Could be any fighting game.
Yeah, so I think my 2 favorite normals, because I can't pick between one or the other, is Seth from Under Night's Dash C and Gen's stand medium kick.
You'll need an explanation for both. I need to hear why. You're allowed to have 2. I should have specified that you don't gotta choose between your favorite.
Yeah, the reason for Gen is because that, I don't know what, but when you see, so like when you have super and you hit that normal and you just feel like the depression hit the other player, it's very relieving. Like you just feel like the entire world has been just like taken away from them, because you know they're gonna get hit with super, and then it gets hit into ultra, and they're about to take like 600 damage off a normal poke. I'm like, yes, it all worked out in the end. And it was like only 5 frames, so it was like, yeah, great, with punishing, let's go. Seth's Dash C is my favorite because the way it looks aesthetically, it kind of like, so the reason I picked up Seth is because for some weird reason, like my archetypes of characters is very, very straightforward. They either have to be a ninja or an assassin, or they have to be like a character that envelops the word fundamentals when you think of them.
That's so fair. Like that makes sense with you. That tracks with your Ryu and Akuma picks.
So like in Killer Instinct, that was a Jago player because fundamentals. So and Street Fighter 4 and Under Night, ninja / assassin. They just look cool to me.
Makes sense. Or Zeku pick, for example.
Exactly. So Seth's Dash C was just like pretty cool to me because it's like, oh, it looks like Rapid Slash. I used to play Virgil in Marvel 3. Really good normal, covers a lot of distance on the screen, and it was personally my favorite combo starter in the game because of just the damage I got from it. I'm like, yeah, good times.
No, that's a good answer. That's a good answer. And speaking of comboing into big damage, that leads perfectly into the second part of the question, which is, what's your favorite combo in any fighting game?
My favorite combo.
Now, it doesn't even necessarily need to be a combo that your character does. It could be one that you just like watching other people do.
So it's not really a combo. Well, once again, 2 choices.
Could be a series. You're allowed to get. I just like to hear how people answer this question, because I've heard some like different responses in the past that give me insight to how players look at the game, see like where their enjoyment is. So I'm interested to see what you've got coming.
So the first one is watching Tokido play. So anytime he has meter, anytime he has meter and he gets a stun, I don't know if it's because I play Akuba, I just like know that, okay, he's probably gonna go for a demon right now. So it's usually watching Tokido play in that situation. He gets the stun, he has full V trigger. Well, he has V trigger pops or full V trigger. He has full stick of butter. There's a demon he's going for. You know he's gonna go for a demon, but it's how he's gonna go for the demon that makes, and sequences that always like make me go, that's something new I'm gonna steal.
I see.
I think it was, and it doesn't even have to be off a stun, because I remember he did it once against JB. He got V trigger, he got the hard knockdown DP, and he whiffed jump roundhouse, which is kind of crazy considering like how low jump roundhouse has to hit you in order to be effective. And went straight into demon. I'm like, I'm stealing that. That's some good tech.
That makes sense. It kind of has a upward hitbox. Its hitbox is weird for jump ins, so it makes sense to whiff that big one.
Yeah. And then the other combo I like, and I personally always love seeing this combo, and I like doing it so much. I think I haven't found anything more damaging, but I consider it to be Seth's max damage combo in the corner. It just looks so goddamn cool. Hold on, let me see if I can find you a link for it.
You don't have to spell it all out because that's a long combo. I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, if for me to give the notation for that combo would be very, very, very. It's like 6B, 5C, 3C. Like it's a lot, but I have it recorded, so I will just link it to you.
All right, we'll link that one in the show notes. So look for that one. It's a long one. It's a good one.
It's like when I tell my friends, like my other friends who are like, oh, I want to play, like, what game are you playing now? I'm like, like, what's that? I'm like, here's the combo that you need to see. Just look at this combo.
Yeah, I suppose there's so many fun combos in that game. Like, I feel like everybody has fun combos. It's not just certain characters. Like, I don't know. I play Waldenstein in that game, so it's like when he touches you, it's like, oh, you're just gonna go for a ride now, and you're gonna eat a bunch of damage. And
every time I see Waldenstein, I just think of Come On and Slam and Welcome to the Jam.
Yeah, that's accurate. That's about right. That's about right. I love him so much. Plus, if you do the 720, you get bonus damage. I love that. A little extra bit of execution gives you that little buff. So much fun. But, all right, enough about Unnight in Birth. It's a good game. You should play it.
Everyone should play it. Play it. Support your locals and play it.
It's a good game. It's probably, you could probably get it for cheap now. It's probably not all that expensive. But anyway, that's a show. So we got to end this. Let people know where they can find you on the internet.
If you want to find me on Twitter, it's at NY_Teiga, Teiga. If you want to follow me on Twitch, it's NYTeiga93. Yeah, that's pretty much. Oh, and if you want to follow me on Instagram to see me like go on like random wacky adventures, because I travel for some weird strange reason. I don't know why, but it's at the same thing as my Twitch, NYTeiga93.
Right on. And again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to spend talking about fighting games and stuff. It's been a pleasure.
Not a problem.
All right, man. Thank you so much. But that's a show. We're ending it. I'm Super Joe Monday on Twitter or at Reddit SF. That's a show. We are here every Thursday. You can check out our online tournaments on Mondays for the East Coast and Fridays for the West Coast. But we will see you guys next time on another edition of RSF Radio. But until then, take care, folks.